Damn, you guys are already here. Who brought the hors d'oeuvres? Excellent. Welcome back, fellas. Yeah, man, I crashed. I crashed, and I have a little bit of a headache. Like, there's my reward. Hey, you went to sleep early and didn't get to do everything you wanted to? Here, have a headache. It's probably from not having enough caffeine yesterday. Because I only had one thing of coffee all day. We won't make that mistake today. Let's put Mr. Hot Glue Gun away. I don't think we need to glue anything else on this. And good morning, Sangers and Mash. What? I'll have a double helping then. It's dry, but it's better than porridge. I'm gonna drive Ben and company crazy. Horrors. Whores don't need doors. They manage to find their way inside anyways. This makes so much less of a mess than either blue styrofoam or especially the white one. The white. White. Okay, we need to goop this, and we'd like to paint some of the other stuff. So I think priority to be able to work on this stuff tonight is I have to goop this morning. Goop that. All right. Might just catch a bit of might catch a bitch of this. That's if you get caught while watching the show instead of doing whatever else you should be doing. Oh man. We'll see, I feel better already. Sangers and Mash. A bit dry. Okay. I'm kind of alright with this shape. You know, I was kind of skeptical anyways with the other one, so I might screw with this one a little bit. Now I'm going to get this crap everywhere, aren't I? Well, that's why I have the other side that's lay nasty. It's that nasty sense of stuff. I get distracted by little things like that. That's the ADD that I don't have that I'm working on. I'm working for my master's in ADD. What's the difference between ADD and ADHD? Other than one's a more advanced degree than the other? I don't have either one of those two things. I just want to be left alone. Just leave me the fuck alone. I don't think I'd be able to do an 11-hour session if I was ADD. We didn't have those things in the 70s. Nobody was ADD. You just needed a fucking spanking. Can you even spank kids these days? I think you can. You just can't let anybody find out. Or you got to do it in some, you got to do it in some country where, violence is a rite of passage. Got to nip back. Got to nip back down the mines. Take care, chaps. Okay, the mines. Well, it's a 4-day weekend for me. It's better than a 1-day weekend. Hey, we got a lot done on that 1-day weekend. Do wedgies still exist? Probably. An atomic wedgie. That guy needs an atomic wedgie. Yeah. Supposedly there's no bullying. Supposedly. Um, but it still happens. You're not going to be able to solve kids having fights in middle school. It's just always going to happen. For me, middle school was the worst time. You know, you got kids that are changing. You got kids that think they know it all and don't have anything, but yet they don't have any responsibilities, and you know. So I was reading some article the other day. I think it was an article, meaning it was somebody's post. The modern article is someone's post. It was somebody's post on something related to gaming, like video gaming and language. That's what it was. It was somebody. It was some post that I heard about somebody getting banned from PlayStation or Xbox or whatever for the language that they used. And apparently, somebody was saying that the golden age of language was 2008 to 2012. Like, you can't, some people apparently, you can't say, you know, stuff online. Like, I don't play with anybody, like, on any of those live things or listen to anybody. And, but, you know, mainly because it got taken over by people that shouldn't be playing that game. You know, if you're playing a mature game, a violent, mature game, that's, you know, you gotta be 17 to buy. Why are you 7 years old and playing this game? And if you're 7 years old and playing this game, why are you running your mouth like a little kid? Like, you're obviously, you know, at least like be quiet, right? No, they're Captain Badass. I just got tired of listening to that shit, you know. And but I know people that don't like playing those things anymore because everything's being monitored. So if you say certain things, they'll like ban you from it or whatever. Like, I don't need to play those games and like call people names, you know, but you know, occasionally you get killed well before your time you're supposed to, and you know, you got to cuss for emphasis. But a lot of people like to trash talk each other. I don't think it's worth my time. That's where that whole teabagging thing started. I had no idea what the hell that is. I'm playing Rainbow Six Vegas or something like that, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm teabagging this guy. I'm like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, who comes up with that stuff? Trying to get your Panzer II primed and base coated ahead of Thanksgiving. No pressure. What do you use for primer? And which Panzer II did you go with? Did you go with the C or the F? Notice I didn't ask who made it. I never built any of those Panzer IIs from Matchbox. I would have. It looks like a cute little kit. Comes with a diorama and everything. The Panzer IIs I have are and I think I have five of them. I'm not counting the Panzer II-L. That one doesn't really count. Yes, it's a Panzer II, but it doesn't get to play with the others. I got a pair of C's from MMS. I have a pair of C's from S model. An F from, might actually be Skytrex. I thought it was from um, Ratham, and that's it. Yeah, this is gonna look pretty decent. The problem with this is it's like you get it on your hands, which it's not like this stuff is toxic. You don't want to eat it. You'd do a number on your teeth probably if you could stomach this. Your teeth would not like you. Um, you might laugh, but just two thin coats of black craft paint. I'm not gonna laugh. I'm not gonna laugh at all. Um, I used to paint. The first thing I ever primed, well, when I did models a long time, when I did 1/2400 scale ships, I didn't prime my ships at all. You know why? There was no internet. We didn't know any better. Like, I just painted right on them. And then I saw some article in something where they said, yeah, you should bake your ships. Like, what? Yeah, take them in, put paint on them, and then put them in the oven at whatever degrees for 20 minutes, and it'll bake the stuff on it. So I did that a couple times, and that gave me a use for an oven. And this is like 1991 or something like that. And I don't know if that worked any better, but then when I started painting these figures, probably because of the heavy metal painting guide or the other Warhammer stuff, everything they do was base black. So I ended up picking up Model Master Acryl Black. And Model Master Acryl behaved a lot the same way that this did. Not as good as this, but it had some flow to it. And yet it was still acrylic. And it was pretty hardy. Damage resistance. I don't know how I feel about this stuff. I have a feeling it's not very durable. But I think all you need to do is you need to put it on somewhere so that the paint you put on it doesn't come off. And then with enough coats, it becomes durable. But I think this by itself isn't very durable. But it doesn't cover any details. So yeah, I didn't use craft paint per se, but I used something like that. See, I can cook. Only things made of lead. Ooh, you don't cook very healthy. Kulan, of course, went with the C-DAC version and went with the bags over the guns. This is going to be a recon vehicle. You can name it Bag Lady. How do you say Bag Lady in German? Schlosselwench. I don't. It is the wench part, right? I can cook. I can't cook. I don't want to cook. See, that's the thing. I think I'd be okay. So let's talk about the cooking part. Um, I never cooked because my dad's old school. My dad was born in 1925, so he was definitely old school. Like he didn't cook. You know, he didn't cook, and his mom didn't never learned how to drive or speak English for that matter. But she was older, So I mean, his mom was born in another century for that matter. But anyhow, yeah, he never cooked at all. So I've never gone hungry. So I can assemble things. I assemble things every day. I mean, I make my own lunch. It just doesn't involve cooking. It takes too long. It takes too long to do it. I don't want to put the time in for it. I would do okay except for when four things would be going on at once. That'd stress me out. That's the part I wouldn't be able to deal with. I'd be able to deal with everything else. Okay, I'm gonna set this off to this. We're gonna set Rocky over there to the side. Cooking for me used to be making sandwiches. My wife's cooking has just worn off on me over the years. Yeah, I don't. I swear there were these places you could go on. Maybe I'm imagining it. Where you could go on a date with the person you're with. I want to go on a date with somebody else. Like, no, we're not going there. We don't do that. Nobody should be doing that. And cook a meal together. I thought there was. And drink along the way. Maybe I'm imagining it. Kind of like those paint places where you go in there and you can paint things. Today we're going to paint this vase with these flowers in it. My wife did one of those and she didn't like what she painted, and I did. I thought it was pretty good. And they just use craft paint. There's nothing wrong with craft paint. I got plenty of it over here. I don't use it for everything, but it has its uses. My biggest gripe with craft paint is probably how some colors are really thin. They're too thin. But that's it. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with craft paint. All my figures have craft paint on them. That's what I paint the edge of the stands in. I did that on our Vietnam trip with another couple. Not quite a date, more like a class with eating at the end. Yeah, something like that. Eat any weird things out there? I'll tell you what. When I went to Mexico over the summer, I thought it was. I actually had to do quite a bit of work to find in some places, and we didn't go to crummy restaurants. I had to do quite a bit of work to find stuff to eat that wasn't like odd. Like in the area that we went in has a history of, I think they have a lot of indigenous people there for whatever reason. They're that's kind of like their homeland. But no, they have a lot of the indigenous culture that's there, which is fine, except they eat a lot of the indigenous stuff, like bugs. And like there was a drink that had like crickets. You had whatever, like a martini, and then it had crickets like sprinkled on it. I'm like, I'm not eating fucking bugs. I'm like, my people came over here to stop you fuckers from doing that, and you didn't learn, so I'm not eating your bugs. Sorry, not eating bugs. Not gonna do it. Oh, I don't give it. I don't care. It's on principle. I'm not eating bugs. But it was kind of difficult. It wasn't kind of difficult. It was a challenge in some places. And I would consider myself somebody who is not that picky of an eater. But like I don't want to eat like, there's certain parts of animals I just don't want to eat. They taste weird, they taste funny, and I don't want to be humored. They taste funny and I don't want to be humored. The spice doesn't bother me. I can eat fire, basically. As long as it tastes good, I like eating fire. Fire fan. But weird stuff, nah. And I mean weird stuff. It's all meat stuff because there's no vegetable stuff that's weird. It's vegetables, man. What are they gonna do to you? You may not like how they taste, but you had weird things. You've had weird things in my life, but Vietnamese food was really good. We had a lot of pho and street like food. My favorite was like a wrap or soft taco, but Asia flavors. Okay. Thailand. Thailand is where I saw the bug vendors. Didn't do that. Not eating it. Won't do it. Won't do it. Oh, you gotta try it. Well, you gotta try this Spanish steel. Hey, I'm gonna go to the motherland in a month, and those fuckers are gonna eat weird shit too. And I'm gonna call them on it. Like, hey, why are you so uncivilized over here, eating brains and shit like that? You don't eat no brains. What's wrong with you? Oh man. And they eat weird stuff in the United States, man. But you gotta go out of your way to find it. You gotta go out of your way to find it. We'll do the Rocky sprinkles later. A lot of this stuff is not difficult. It just takes a while to do. So just be prepared to continue working towards a common goal. It's like you're in a race, but you're the tortoise. Just slow and steady. I don't like even picking up bugs. But there are some bugs that I think are pretty cool. And not to eat. I'm just saying that I generally am not a bug liker. Like, bug, ooh, generally. But there's some bugs that honestly, I think they're pretty cool. I don't want to grab them. Stink bugs. For whatever reason, this house has a lot of stink bugs outside. I shouldn't say a lot. I've seen them frequently. And I kind of like stink bugs because, first of all, they're kind of cool looking. They're non aggressive. And, they don't stink if you leave them alone. And I don't want to squash bugs because you make a mess. And he's not being a pest. And they move slow. So I like things that move slow because they're non threatening. That's why palmetto roaches are those big roaches. We call them palmetto bugs here. They are the worst. I can't think of anything worse than those. We also have these red. They call them velvet ants in different places. Cow killer ants, and they're basically a flightless wasp that has a mean ass sting. And if you step on them, they bounce back. They're pretty close to being indestructible. And I've never seen them before other than at work. And I don't live that far from work. Say 3 miles, maybe 6 miles from work. Maybe 6, maybe 5. That's more like 6. I'd never seen them anywhere else before. And you have to deal with those things because they're nasty. They're not nasty looking. They're just, I'm not eating any of those creatures. I'm not eating crickets. You know what makes bugs really creepy? I figured it out the other day. It's the antenna. The antennas make them really look creepy. Like, I'm not eating things with antennas. That's why I went to one of these Asian buffet places one time and I got grossed out because they had this big bucket of crawfish, which is not something I dislike the taste of. But man, when they're in a bucket on top of each other, like grasshoppers, I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that. I'm not that hungry. Terrain takes time, need to allow things to dry set early on. As you mentioned, the process speeds up as you can get the dry brushing and painting small details. Yeah, I'm not used to waiting for things to dry. I'm new at that. So, the way you solve that is you got to work on multiple things at once. That's not my preference. My preference would be let's sanger and do all the sangers. This looks like one of those jelly donuts that I don't eat. I'm big enough as it is without eating donuts. Sugar crash. Sugar is evil. I am not a sugar lover. Anything you eat that makes you hungrier or want more of it, that's not a good sign. I actually considered with these making them individual holes. Like, okay, one guy goes here, one guy goes here. We may do some other ones, but they won't be able to be on the footprint of this card. This card is like maxed out. Like the edge is here and the other edge is here. So, maybe if I did a 2-man foxhole, but I wanted to make a big space on them because in case somebody got wounded and somebody needed to tend to the other person, I didn't want to have to then come out of the hole or get into a situation where it looked like they were out of cover to tend to the other person. So I decided to do them this way. So the next terrain thing after this is wire. And I'm not doing I don't think I'm going to do the swirls. I'm going to do the like the mattress spring look. So we'll see. We'll do that test and see how much that wire lasts. I don't need to make a bunch, but I also don't need to have so many sections of it that, it's cost prohibitive to make any of that stuff. Yeah, makeup or salty snacks. Do I ask myself? Yeah, I eat too many salty things. But you're a skinny dude, man. You can eat all that stuff. You're the one that took my metabolism, you bastard. I don't need any worse than when I was in my 20s. The problem is I don't have a metabolism. It's this job. I was skinny when I started this job. Yeah, well, you started this job 30 years ago, pal. I was wearing size 30 or 32 jeans. Like, what the hell is that? What are jeans that start with a 3? everybody's suffering from the same shit, you know? You'll be taking careful notes during your journey. You know, I could say I'm making mistakes along the way, but I'm kind of not. You know, I mean, could I do better next time I do it? Sure. But it's not like the stuff that I'm doing is turning out badly. Not bad for a first attempt, but you know, we all have lots of examples in pictures and stuff like that, and people that actually want to tell you how they did things to help us along the way. You know, we're not flying blind into no man's land. You know, we're having a we got some guides out there. If you're willing to listen to the guides, there's some guides out there. And sometimes people will show you how not to do things. You're like, man, that's really cool, but I don't like how you did that, so don't do it that way. Or, you know, like some people like to say, you're an idiot for doing it that way. I'm not doing it. Yeah, you're not going to change anybody's mind with that kind of. Wow, we go through this. We go through a lot of this stuff, though. It's okay. I got a spare bottle of this. And when I cut into that one, I'll order another one. I don't want to run out of this stuff. I might order two of these next time I order one. I run to the next one. I don't want to run out of this and have to do a search of finding an alternate thing and then have the basing look different. This is this is better than the Liquitex one. But the only reason I jumped ship is the Liquitex guys decided to stop making it. So they're making too much money on me. Like, you know, we got to stop making this material because we're getting too rich and having to pay too many taxes. Okay, so I'm fine with it being flat because we'll just goop up the top and the top will be uneven looking. Not like I used to be. I was a soccer player. Being in New York City helps, though we walk a lot. Yeah. That's what we all lack. We all should be walking more. I mean, I remember when I didn't have a car for a long time. And I live in a place where you need to have a car. So I rode my bike everywhere. Plus, I was younger, so I was pretty good shape. But it's still muscle memory. Like, I don't have a problem going now and going for a bike ride. You know, not on the road. Bikes don't belong on the road. I'm sorry if you disagree, but you can go on the road and bike if you want to, but that's a death wish. Like, I would go bike in bikey areas, but I don't have a problem. The other day, I was like, I'm relatively out of shape, but when it comes to riding a bike, like, okay, you're gonna ride a bike for 7 hours. Okay, no problem, right? I mean, nobody's chasing me. I don't have to get there in a certain amount of time. It's just riding a bike, man. You're just sitting on your ass. When we first got our bikes, how many years ago? It was a long time ago. There's this path that they had completed where they tore up, and they do this in all kinds of towns. Well, not in New York, but probably where you're from, they've probably done it. Where they take this railroad line that's unused and tear it up and turn it into a nature path, which, you know, generally isn't that naturey, but it does go through the woods and stuff like that. But, you know, it's wide because it used to be a train track, right? So you got at least 10, 12 foot wide swath of, you know, whatever. So they have this one that goes from this town, the old town. I'll still call it this town like I still live there because I don't live that far away. About 16 miles one way to another town and then back again. And I knew what I was getting into, but my wife did not. and we went for a bike ride, and it's just on pavement, and a lot of it is like shaded, and we got all the way out there, and she didn't realize we had to come back, and she did like 75% of the trip and then couldn't do it anymore. She failed her morale check. And I don't know why. It wasn't like I was rushing her. You know, it's not like we're in a hurry or anything like that. But that stuff does take a while. Like, I've done that trail several times. And it's like, let me go do the trail. And you get there at 8 o'clock in the morning and you don't get home until like 2. You know? Maybe even later than that. It blows your whole day. Hey, this trail blows. It does? Yeah, your whole day. Mr. White, goop time. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Gotta get these lads underground to hide from the panzers so they run over them and they can do nasty stuff to them. Although at this time period, I don't know that, other than a boy's and a tank rifle, I don't know that infantry could really do anything to tanks. Molotov cocktails, but you know, you got to finish your gin first. What do they drink in Britain? What's the liquor of choice in Britain? Is it still gin or not really? Or it depends, because I don't know that there's a liquor of choice here in the United States. Gin's not super popular. I know a lot of people that don't like gin. I don't know why, but they don't. I like rum the least, probably of all the liquors that are, you know, that aren't anything weird. Of the standard ones, I probably like rum the least, because it's the sweetest. Doesn't mean I won't drink it. It just means that not my first choice. Pimm's. What's Pimm's? Pimm's sounds like a filler. You know, like Pimm's sounds like a British vermouth. Probably vodka. Okay. So the Russians won. I like to talk about it more than having it. My headache's gone, so now we can have a win of a day. I don't know what it was. I went to sleep too early. And I'm sorry for crashing on you, Marcus. I'd like to think that you were only available like another 15 minutes after I left. So I didn't want to go to bed early, but I don't really have a hell week. I'm not expecting a hell week. I should. I should expect every day to be a bitch, because it just about isn't work. Oh, I forgot to track to see if the 25-pounder is coming today. It should be, or they lied to me. Let's see. What do we buy it on? eBay. Canadian eBay. It's spinning right around. Like a record. Come on. Track package. Not leaving feedback before I get it. Okay, it arrived at the mother city. That's what I should call it. The mother city. Yesterday at 5:45 p.m. Well, we'll do a video today if it comes in. Does that goop have a sand texture? Oh, you're about to crash. Didn't expect you to be on. Okay. Does that goop have a sand texture? Yes. And it's rather gritty. So It's smooth, but there's definitely some. Does it say what's on here? I've never read this before. Textures to reproduce different pavements and surfaces, from the grayish sand of arid climates to irregular and uneven terrain with grooves, reliefs, and rocks. They are dense and characterized by their high adherence. They can be direct. They can be applied directly on the substrate. Ooh, big words today. Or mixed with pigments or low viscosity colors. Heavy paste of resin and natural pumice stone with a rough gray finish for surface building and irregular terrain reliefs and peak. Can be applied in various layers and dries in about 90 minutes. Can be mixed with model air or game air or painted with any kind of paint. Tools can be cleaned with water. I could read it in Spanish, but even medium words become complex words for me in Spanish. I have to figure out what they mean by vocabulary. So pumice, it's got pumice in it. Yeah, you wouldn't want to chew on this. Unless you want to get really, really small teeth. Matte medium. It probably has some matte medium. I used to use the Liquitex one, and then that one wasn't as gritty. It had grit, but I don't think the grit was as raw. It wasn't as hard. Okay, and this one works better than the Liquitex one. But the Liquitex one, they stopped carrying it because it was not made from a sustainable material. Which to me means you're too much of a pussy to keep making it. But okay, hey, I don't want to destroy the earth, but like it's like 2 ounces, man. Like, and it's not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal with all the nasty stuff that gets made. Come on. But those French people didn't want to make it. It was made in France. And this is the natural sand. I still have that one. That's the smoother one. Liquitex. This is what I used to use. And I still have about half of a bottle of it. And I switched because there's some DBA armies I have made with this that I don't want to, if I have to add more stands to them, yeah, it's not going to happen. I didn't want to mix it up. But this one's all just resin stuff. Do not mix with oils. Made in France. And they stopped making it. I think they still make this one, though. Anyways, I like their products. They did it to themselves. I generally don't switch products because I find something better. I switch products because whatever they made, they isn't made anymore. They pull the old Games Workshop card. We don't want to make this anymore. Okay, well, you're not going to get any sales from me. I can't buy more of it if you don't make it. It's amazing how that works. And I do have matte medium too, but I have one of the matte somethings or whatever. No, it might not be medium. But I haven't really used it much. Which one is it? Which matte is it? It may not even be here. It's from Liquitex. I was using it as a flat coat on something. I forget I have it. This should be the last one, and that's good because we're running out of time. It's almost salt mine 30, unfortunately. I've used these little tools a lot, these Army Painter little tools, but they're not stainless. They're close to stainless, but if you leave this in water, it'll rust like a moe. So, so I guess since we're on our desert adventure, at some point I'm going to need to get some palm trees. Not many, because this isn't, a Hollywood desert. There's palm trees, but they're rare, and they're only in certain places. And we don't have to build a camp for this game. It's not like I got to build a camp with these Tommies brewing up or something. Frying an egg on the side of a Matilda or something. Need to run as well. Not sure if I'll be on tonight. Maybe for a few minutes before bedtime. Have a good day, you all. You too, man. Yeah, that's the one thing that I kind of liked about DBA is, well, there's lots of things I kind of liked about DBA. But one of the things that I liked was the camp thing. Not actually making it, but the fact that you had some leeway as far as some of adding some flavor to the army. So like if you did like a World War II camp, like I said, you did the British in the desert, you do, having tea or, cooking an egg on a tank or something like that. If you did an Africa Corps one, I don't know, they'd be rounding people up and throwing coconuts at them or something. I don't know. I don't think the Germans rounded too many people up in the desert. I could be wrong, but they had more important things to do, like sweating. Too tired to be doing that shit. So this book that I'm reading now that was recommended to me, or I'm reading it on Audible, is called An Army at Dawn, and it's like a three-part book. Unfortunately, it's only about the Americans. I don't like things that are generally from only one side, regardless of what side that is. But it is, and it starts with Operation Torch. And I'm really surprised how ignorant I am about Operation Torch. But in my defense, I never gamed it. So there's no reason I should know tactical things like that. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in there that I'd never heard of before. That's kind of cool, reading something about a conflict you're interested in and then find all kinds of bits of information you've never heard of before. You're planning a fortification small castle for all your armies. Well, at least do one where there's like a little hole to switch the flag out, right? So if like you're using a flag for a castle for the French, put a little French flag up, and then like just switching out pins or something like that. Just something simple like that could give a little bit of some ownership. Could show some ownership. Yeah, I miss doing flags. I do miss doing flags. And half the flags in this I can't do because they got naughty symbols. I could still do them. I'm just not going to show them on a video or on Facebook. Still, I see lots of photos that get through, but I don't want them on my page because you'll post them and then 5 years later somebody will say, hey, you got a 30-day ban. Why? Because you posted this image. I'm like, I got this image from somebody else that was also on Facebook. Well, they're banned too. I'm like, whatever. I'd rather just avoid them. Avoid them if I'm going to share them out in public. And it's not real people banning me. It's this AI mechanization that's banning it. Does anybody who sees my channel, we don't promote any kind of dictators, especially if they're short and have mustaches. Hey, there's a couple that fall in that category. Exactly. And I said this before, Mussolini was a dickhead, but he is a nice guy compared to the other two. He is a hell of a nice guy compared to the other two. And there's no arguing that. He's like a starter set dictator. No, there's dictators that are better than Mussolini. I'm just saying Mussolini's a lot better than the other two. No comparison. Even though he's a fascist. By definition. Okay. Now, we've got some rocks that we're going to do. I don't think I'm going to go rock crazy like I did last time. Because, we're not baking a spotted dick. And I end up covering them up anyways. Covering them up. So let's put some rocks on here and then maybe we can base the 2-pounder. Or something. Or put the base color on him or something. That way something will be ready to work on at lunchtime. I like staying productive. It feels good. So I was reading this this Invasion of North Africa book, and there's a quote in there that I thought was pretty funny. Almost seems kind of fake. And wait, this is the one that is, okay, this is the entrenchments. Okay, we got to be careful how we do this. Okay, and there's this one scene that gets explained that's basically these Americans are getting ready to land and they got these loudspeakers that they're blaring at the Vichy. And there's one quote that says on there, it says, down with the Bosch, down with the macaronis. I'm like, oh man, that's funny. Macaronis. Eye ties. Eye ties is what I like them. I think the Brits used to call them eye ties. I've read some naval commentary where they would call them eye ties. Down with the Bosch, down with the macaronis. So I have to actually revise this comment that I made many years ago. And I made a comment many years ago about a video that was done several years ago where they would interview people on the beach. They would interview, stupid not adolescents, but young adults, just to show how ignorant they were of history. Where they would ask them, what the meaning of this holiday is, or what's the meaning of Memorial Day, what's the, who attacked Pearl Harbor and stuff like that. And you would think that it's made up, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I think I was using the wrong one. I think this is the one I want to use. Just to show how ignorant the youth are. And, and it could be old people just be this ignorant. It could be, if this happened to be in America, there's stupid people everywhere. Okay, you guys have your dumbasses across the pond too. And you know it. Okay? So, this one person that they interview, this one girl, and they're all attractive people, but, they're airheads to the max. And this one girl, well, who did we fight in World War One? The French? And I made this comment when I showed this video to people. I said, the United States has never fought the French. I forgot about the Vichy. And I'm actually surprised reading this book that they put up this much of a fight. And I'm not saying that because they're French, haha, the French don't fight. No, I just mean I thought that, that they weren't going to let them walk in, but I didn't think that they slung so much lead out. Like, there's quite a few casualties that happened, with Iran and things like that. I didn't know anything about. So it's kind of interesting to read about things that I didn't know anything about. So I used to say that, the U.S. has never fought the French. Can't say that anymore. Unless you consider the Vichy not French, which, not in the traditional sense, but still. We do the education system. We sure do. The education system has its priorities all wrong here too. Yeah. Well, look, I took history as all my electives in college. Why? Because I like it. And I took history. I read books as a general rule. Well, here comes, I sound like a nerd burglar, 7th class, to learn shit. I really do. I mean, yes, it's entertaining, but entertainment can also be to learn. I war game to learn stuff. If I just wanted to play games for fun, I'd play Halo. Well, I wouldn't. Halo sucks. But I'm just saying, I play games to learn about real things that happened. To further my understanding about it. And I don't know. Maybe I'm the exception to the rule. Maybe not. But I think that it's entertaining to learn things. And my wife says it all the time. You read to learn stuff. I read for entertainment. I said, well, I read for entertainment also. But they teach history all wrong. I don't. If they taught history right, I don't know how anyone would dislike history. Because it's a story. At least my daughter is not anti-watching historical movies with me. I mean, I don't expect her to like everything. Yeah, it has to be interesting. It can't just be like there's this series on, I don't know, it was on History Channel. Everybody raves about John Adams. I'm not watching something about John Adams. Okay? It's political crap. I'm not interested in that, If I don't learn something new every day, it's a fail. There you go. You got to keep, your mind is a muscle. You got to work it out. I'm always thinking. It may not be about the things I should be thinking about. And I don't mean that in a inappropriate way. But, I watch no television. Why? They did it to themselves. Stuff is just, boring. Yeah, there's dumb people everywhere. As I used to think, people in this country are just stupid. No, I've seen those Essex people. I guess that's like the California Valley Girl equivalent of the United States. There's dumb people everywhere. You think, just people in the United States just don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. They can't read a map. No, you got dumbasses over there too. There is some geographically ignorant people in the world. And I think that's a lot more important than history. Geography. But I love me some maps. Okay, that's enough. That's enough spots on the dick. It looks pretty shitty right now, but I know the end result. The end result works. So since you have the White Rose of York, I'm going to ask you, right? York is the white one. What's that miniseries? Is it worth watching? The one, is it called The White Queen? I've been trying to see it. I've been trying to find where it is. I didn't know. I thought the War of the Roses was really complicated, and it still is. But that book by Dan Jones that I read is really good. It makes it make sense. Makes it make sense. I've read a couple of his books, maybe three, and I like his writing style. And I especially liked the ones that he does where he narrates himself, because he's really good about trying to pronounce things correctly, and I value that. That Plantagenets is a great one, but it's narrated by a person who's not very doesn't I want to seek him out and make sure I don't ever pick up another book by that guy. There's a couple people that's happened. It's actually two. That guy stunk, and so did the guy that Charlton Griffin. Charlton Griffin is insufferable. Because I'm like, what kind of pompous Cambridge, Oxford type weird accent enunciates things and pronounces the wrong, he's just some guy from Washington State that has this, this dramatic voice actor or whatever. I'm like, and he's prolific. There's so many things by him and the ancients and stuff by him. And it's like, it's hard to listen to somebody who pronounces things or puts emphasis on the wrong word. You don't do TV? No, I don't do TV either. I'm talking about Audible, books on tape. No, I don't do TV either. Oh, you don't? So you haven't seen that. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm a little slow. I've only had 4 fingers of coffee. You don't do TV. Well, you know what? You're not missing much. And you know that. That's why you don't do TV. Most people do too much TV. Okay, so this is going to be a little home for the 2 pounder. And troops. Troops can hide behind here, but it's really for the purpose of the 2 pounder. Both 2 pounder guns. That's why it's shaped the way it is. So these little guys can just fit in there. But we're out of time, unfortunately. Damn it, man. But this was the priority because this is what takes the longest to dry. This is what takes the longest to dry. So when we're done with this, oh, they touched. You copulating foxhole. Stay away from each other. Keep your hands to yourself. So when we're done, we'll have 4 foxholes, and 2 sangers. And I think they look really freaking good. These light colors, though, they really get screwed by the light a lot. And, this is something you can make at home. It doesn't weigh much. You can make it to whatever specifics you want to. So, a commercial thing is like, oh, it's got to be this certain size. It doesn't. And let's see if I can. I'll pop this off of here so you can see why I made it the size that I did. The 2-pounder fits in there nicely behind it. Obviously it's on this little stand as well. So that's what we're going to do next is we're going to dry brush and we got some of the goop on this stand as well to tie that into the whole look of everything. And then we'll have the crew members. The crew members will be on the ones on a penny. Because I want to remove them as a casualty so if I can. And the other guy, he sits inside the gun, inside the cannon. So, yeah. So, yeah, maybe we should have an unboxing tonight. I'm not going to do it live. I'll do a video. A lot of people don't like watching live stuff, and I get it, Oh, I don't have time to watch your long video. I said, well, there is a fast forward button. I'm just saying, So, in the land of ADD, I do long videos so that, maybe people will learn to be a little bit more patient. Instead of having these AI narrated videos that interrupt themselves. They're talking so fast, they're talking over each other, over itself. So, okay, folks. Well, that's it for Tuesday morning. And you got a lot of good British/Commonwealth stuff coming up for the desert. So we'll get ready and then we'll start doing the bad guys. We'll do a few bad guys as well. So